I just completed the Tier 12 dungeon in Abattoir of Zir, and in this guide I'm going to show you the run, and then after the run I'm going to talk all about the build, how it works, how things synergize together, what were the different things that went into building this, and even if you don't use rapid fire, I think there's going to be quite a few tidbits and things that you might want to think about when you are actually building your build, whether it be for rapid fire or any other rogue build out there. So definitely stay tuned for that. I think it will help you out as you start trying to conquer this new content. And one thing to keep in mind is that I did tier 12, and um, this was actually what I found out afterwards was I didn't even have advanced rapid fire in. Instead, because I was testing out things yesterday, I took off advanced rapid fire, and this effectively made me do 30% less critical strike damage, which is absolutely huge. So I definitely think that I could push tier 13 with advanced rapid fire, uh, but the stuff is definitely getting pretty tough. But if you guys tried this mode out yet, you probably know that already. But definitely hope you guys enjoy the run. Um, and definitely check out the build at the end here of the video. And there is a chapter below that will mark that if you want to check it out. All right, so let's talk about the build. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to talk about how the build works and how things synergize together. I am not going to go one by one and read off all the skills and abilities and all of that to you. You can check out the builder below if you just want to see what is on each piece. But if you want to learn about the build and understand how I built it, then I would stay listening. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the main things in this build. So first off, it is, of course, a rapid fire build that uses punctures to generate combo points, and then we use those combo points using rapid fire. Now, rapid fire gets buffed up a lot in this build in a few different ways. One of them being Tibalt's Will, which gives us more combo points, so we can get up to 22 combo points here because of the plus resource. So you want to make sure you get that plus max resource very high. And then you use Condemnation along with that in order to generate those combo points very fast. And that ends up creating our rapid fire having many arrows. It's like 27 arrows that it shoots. And that synergizes really well with Enhanced Rapid Fire. Because what Enhanced Rapid Fire does is for each arrow that you shoot, it increases your critical strike chance up to 40%. Now, this actually goes even higher than that, which you can see when I say shoot here. You'll notice that after a few arrows here, notice that they're all just yellow numbers, right? And that's because they're all critical hits. So that gives us a ton of critical strike chance. And because of that, you will notice that I am not taking precision imbuement. So do not take precision imbuement because, well, I'm already at max critical strike chance, basically. Now, another thing with rapid fire that makes it very strong is advanced rapid fire because this gives us a 30% increased critical strike damage. So this is a 30% multiplier after you evade. So you'll notice that after every time I use rapid fire, I evade. And that puts up this little buff here that you can see indicated with the green bar there, showing me that I am getting that 30% multiplier. Now, one thing is that you'll notice that I am not taking Weapon Mastery because crossbows give a 5% increased critical strike damage multiplier, which sounds good, and it is good, but unfortunately with Advanced Rapid Fire, the Advanced Rapid Fire buff seems to overwrite this. This is a bug. So again, do not take this. We do not need this. It will not help you save those points. Now, we are taking Cold Imbuement as well as Poison Imbuement. Cold imbuement is really great because, well, we freeze a lot with cold imbuement, but we also freeze a lot with frostburn. And cold imbuement gets a nice multiplier, 40% multiplier when enemies are frozen, and this does a lot of single target damage. And this is also another way that we can apply vulnerable, which can be helpful. It's not huge, but it is helpful. And we do take 6 points into Frigid Finesse, 3 plus the 3 on my amulet, in order to get a nice 60% multiplier here. And then on the board here, I do take the control glyph to get another 20% multiplier to frozen enemies. And then on my vampiric powers, I'm taking Domination. This gives us another 24% multiplier to frozen enemies. And there's a second part here that is very important, which is that if they're also injured and not an elite, they're instantly killed. And this is huge because those regular mobs in these high tier dungeons, they still take a while to kill. And this will help speed up how fast they die by at best 50%, because now you only have to get them to have less than 35%, or in other words, you have to only do 65% of their life, freeze them, tap them, and then they're dead. So this is actually another 50% multiplier to non-elite enemies, essentially. So that is really strong. Now, we also are taking Poison Imbuement. And Poison Imbuement we are not is very strong here. And why is that? Well, I am not going super deep into poison. I'm not getting all of the different poison multipliers. But even with that said, it is still stronger than Shadow Imbuement. I can show you here. if I throw down Poison Trap, hit my Poison Imbuement, and then use my Poison there. Notice that, and that. Let's try one more time here. Hold on here. The dummies are bugged here. So throw that down. Okay. And notice that I'm getting a nice 18 million dot ticking there. So you can still get quite a bit of damage from Poison Imbuement, and that's a lot in part due to Shaco giving us the +4 ranks to all skills, which increases our Poison Imbuement, as well as, of course, our Rapid Fire base damage, which increases the Poison Imbuement even further. So Poison Imbuement, quite good, and along with that, we are taking the various poison nodes here to increase our poison damage a little bit, but more importantly, reduce the damage that enemies are doing. This is going to increase our survivability, and then we get a little bit of attack speed as well, which also increases survivability and damage. So this is very nice. And while we're talking about poison, we are taking Poison Trap, and I take it through countering Poison Trap to help us keep our imbuements up time higher. And along with Poison Trap, though, the other reason why we take it, along with helping us apply this, is it helps us keep up our disobedience stacks, which helps us keep up our armor high. But also, we are going into the Deadly Ambush board here, which gives us a 23% increased critical strike damage multiplier, which gives us a lot of more damage. So in this build, what we're trying to do is really play around that Poison Trap there, throw it down, make sure the enemies get into it, and give us more damage. And then I'm also taking the Ambush Glyph here for another 10% damage multiplier. Now, let's talk about crowd control breaks. So Shadow Step is extremely important. It is our only way that we're going to break crowd control. So this is really important that we make sure that we are thinking about this a little bit here, but at the same time, we do need to use it very often. And that is because there are two buffs that are very critical to this build that you need to make sure that you always keep up, which is Tibalt's Will, that 36% increased damage while unstoppable. So when you use this, it makes you unstoppable, which procs this. And then also, even more important, is Close Quarters Combat. So Puncture or Rapid Fire are our marksman skills, but then Shadow Step is our only cutthroat skill that is going to proc Close Quarters Combat. So we need to use this every 8 seconds in order to keep this rolling here. And these two buffs both can be simply proc with Shadow Step, and this is going to keep your damage high. If you forget to use this, your damage is going to be low, and it's going to pretty much be garbage. And let's talk about the general rotation here. So the basic idea is we are going to throw down our trap, we jump in, hit our imbuement, we roll, we use our puncture, and then we shoot for big damage. And then we do it again, and each time that we use rapid fire, we do like to evade. So I shoot and evade in order to animation cancel. And this is going to make you do your rotation a little bit faster and also keep you mobile and not dying. So again, basically Poison Trap, jump in, imbue, hit, and do it again. And then when Shadow Step comes back up, we do it again, and also hit your next imbuement. So if we do this a little bit quicker, kind of like so, jump in, rapid fire, jump in, poison imbuement, cold imbuement, drop my poison trap, jump in, get my buffs back up, drop my poison trap, jump in, etc., etc. So it's a lot of fun, really active play style here, and you stay really mobile as you keep on jumping in, moving, etc. Alright, so let's talk about uptime. So uptime meaning basically being able to use our abilities more often. This is very important in this build, and we do this in a few different ways. So one of them is we use Hectic. So every time I use 5 basic skills, it's going to reduce one of my cooldowns by 2 seconds, which is very handy. And then also Ravenous, which gives us a lot more attack speed, which by having more attack speed, I'm going to get off more basic attacks, which is going to help me with having more Hectic procs here. And then also on my gear, we do have the 10% cooldown reduction on the Shaco, as well as on the amulet here, I'm taking 10% cooldown reduction. And if you don't have a Shaco, you can just use a regular helm. I would recommend something like this, where you're using Might, and then you have cooldown reduction, max life, total armor, and basic attack speed. If you want a little bit more damage, you could replace the basic attack speed with the +3 poison imbuement, and that could work out well too. Now, another thing to keep in mind here is shared misery is very important on my boots, because that's going to allow me to spread my freeze all over the place, which is going to help keep me alive. And then here we are taking also more attack speed on the ring here to get another 30% attack speed, and here just for more damage. Now, I will just kind of hover over each thing briefly here if you want to see what all my rolls are on my gear and exactly what it is that I am running here. Notice on my boots I am taking 2 resists here, and then on my rings and my amulet I am taking 3 different affixes here. And notice on my rings I have lightning resist and cold resist there. And those resists just need to be different than these resists. So notice here I have fire shadow, and then here I've got cold and lightning. And this is going to make all of your resists nearly maxed out. If I look at my resists here, notice here I have just poison resist is my one that is not maxed, and that's because poison is probably the least deadly of them because it's damage over time stuff, which we can usually out heal by simply just spamming our attacks through Undying. So Undying is going to help keep you alive as you just spam your attacks here, along with Resilience is also just another really nice node here that's going to increase your survivability quite a bit. And then the Paragon board has been designed, as we see here, with 6 boards. Okay. And there's the main idea here is I want 6 different glyphs, but I also want Eldritch Bounty. And the boards that we are taking here, along with the glyphs, so I've got Devious here. Notice this is a multiplier. The multiplier is what we're looking for here. More multipliers are better, but also the other important thing is I need more armor. So this gives me another 150 armor because of this node here, which is huge. And then this glyph here similarly is another thing that is going to increase our armor here. So on this node here, I get another 250 armor because of this, which is really nice. And along with a little bit more core. And then, of course, taking less damage from vulnerable enemies. And then this is where we put the new glyphs tiers of blood, and we fill out and pick up all of the stats here in order to beef this up. And then over here, I'm taking Canny for just another multiplier 10%. And over here, this is where we put this really important glyph control, which is going to give us a huge amount of damage to crowd controlled enemies. So I make sure to pick up all the int nodes in here. And then over here, we've talked about ambush. And also, we take Lairanas because we do need the resists here, along with the resists here in order to max out our resists. And that is about it for this guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.